Today is World Book Day, and in this video I want to introduce you to 5 spiritual books that have been really helpful and meaningful to me in my life. Hey there. So yes, it's World Book Day, and I was actually meant to be in a school today doing some kind of creative writing and little meditation-y sort of things, but the snow drifts outside the house, and the car's not movable, and the school that I was going to be in texted at 6:30 this morning saying that they were going to be closed. So you have to make the best of it. On top of that, it's quite a day. The internet is being intermittent, and there's a leak from my bathroom coming through my kitchen ceiling, so there are buckets in the kitchen, and there's not a plumber to be had anywhere today because of snow and things. And so I've got one of these kind of insurance policy things that kind of will take care of this, except that there's nobody to come out and do it. So fortunately the dripping has stopped, but I have to for the next few days probably be doing my washes in the kitchen sink, so apologies to my neighbours. Anyway, World Book Day, and I thought I would just put a slightly different spin on it because people are going to be talking about all sorts of books, and I wanted to introduce you to not my 5 favourite spiritual or sacred books, but just 5 books that have been really important to me. Maybe we can kind of do one of these every few months, and I'll introduce you to some other books as well that I really love from this area. I've got my Yakwool jacket on, trying to stay warm. The gas is going to try and keep me warm. The gas fire is on, but there's rumours that the gas in England is going to run out tonight because we don't have enough stock of fossil fuels. Just kind of before we get into the books, just kind of, when are we going to stop living by competition? When are we going to, if we took our resources, right, our money and our resources and what we had, and said, hey, let's do the best for ourselves. Let's do the best for the human beings and the animals and the beings and the planet. And let's put all of our resources towards that in a kind of equivalent sort of way, then things would be so different. When are we gonna do that? You think? Maybe it's because I was raised on Star Trek, and I saw a world where people were kind of starting to do that. Maybe that's where that comes from. I don't know. Anyway, we still have this idea that you need competition, otherwise human beings are lazy and will do nothing. And and because of that, then aspiration is kind of squeezed out of us, as we just kind of have to kind of make ends meet and things like that. Anyway, let me get into the books, okay? So like I say, these are just 5 books that have had a huge impact on me in my life. The bookshelf behind me here, you can see the sort of the I Ching and Stephen Covey and books on aromatherapy and yoga and all sorts of things. So this is my kind of non-fiction bookshelf behind me. Well, there's some short stories and critical sort of theory stuff around literature on the shelves above, and some other weird miscellaneous things. But then from that down, these are kind of like the non-fiction shelves, biographies and things like that, and the spiritual books, my little spiritual library. And I look for books that are kind of there's 2 ways of kind of engaging with the spiritual book. One is that you need still to learn things, and this is absolutely fine at any stage in life, that you're trying to find out kind of how things really work and how we can help ourselves and how we move forward. And then actually once we actually begin the process of kind of the consciousness or the awareness kind of coming back to its more natural place in our being, and we don't identify through things and our kind of object consciousness so much, then the books we read become more like friends walking alongside us, and we recognise people on the same path and the same journeys as ourselves. And it's nice to kind of, because it is kind of a, a life maybe with a little bit more solitude in it, that we have some companions on the road, and we see that we're not alone with this. So I'm kind of trying to decide between these two books. I'll show you this one first. So this year is my 40th year of practice of meditation. I started when I was 14, and I'll be 54 in July. And in my school library when I was a teenager, because I was a library kid, I was looking at the shelf one day, and I found this book. This is A Gradual Awakening by Stephen Levine. And this was my first meditation book, really. I think I'd read some meditation stuff before, a yoga book, and I tried from that. But then this is what really got me started. A very gentle, loving, kind book. Just looking at kind of breath awareness, really, and how the mind works, and the process of sort of moving towards the heart and moving kind of beyond concepts and things into kind of reality slowly. That's why it's called A Gradual Awakening. And as we kind of do that, as you can see, my practice, as I kind of describe it to you, is very, very much around that, and the way that I kind of guide classes and teachings and things. I like that too. So this is still a very beautiful book. I don't know if it's still available or not. You'll probably be able to find it on A-Books if you like it. Very often people ask me, have you got a book you could recommend? And I can kind of wholeheartedly recommend A Gradual Awakening for anybody wishing to start meditating. And, if you come along to one of our classes or retreats, you'll find very much kind of the same principles. Stephen Levine, sadly, has left us now from this dimension, but his teachings live on in these books, and he was a kind, beautiful, warm, loving human being. So what more can I say? My next book is this, Illusions by Richard Bach. I mean, most people have read Jonathan Livingston Seagull, and a lot of people probably have read this as well. This is probably the most read book on my shelves. I've probably read it every year since I was 14. That's when I first came across it at my friend Sam's house, and she lent it to me, and it changed my life. It's the story of a reluctant Messiah, kind of the current Messiah of this time, a man named Donald Shimoda, who decides he doesn't want to be the Messiah anymore, and packs his job as Messiah in and leaves. He's from Idaho, by the way, and then Richard meets him and begins kind of being trained by him in some ways. But I never tire of it. There's such beauty in these things, and Donald Shimoda is one of those characters. When you read a book and the character stays with you for the rest of your life. Donald Shimoda is one of my friends. He's actually somebody who accompanies me, and we have kind of conversations occasionally, I suppose. And you can also do this thing of kind of opening it on any page, and there seems to be wisdom for you, So, well, here we go. Argue for your limitations, and sure enough, they're yours. And I think that's what's kind of holding our world back at the moment, isn't it? We argue for our limitations all the time, rather than kind of even cooperating in the simplest of ways a lot of the time. Maybe on a political level anyway. I think real people are much better than that. Here's another one. The bond that links your true family is not one of blood, but of respect and joy in each other's life. Rarely do members of one family grow up under the same roof. Just beautiful. So, Donald Shimoda, Illusions, or rather Richard Bach, Illusions, the story of Donald Shimoda. So these are early books. So I've got four early books for you, and then one that I kind of came across kind of more recently, when, in the last 10 years. And but these are from my kind of teenage years. So these are for anybody kind of starting out or kind of wanting that kind of younger sort of inspiration. The next, again, thanks to my lovely friend Sam when I was a teenager, who saved me. I was living in, very difficult family circumstances in those days, and Sam and her mum and dad spotted that there was some kind of shine on me, I suppose, and let me start staying at their house. There were all these books, and I would just kind of hang out, and we would just read and talk and whatever. And this is Manus Manna by Bob Venosa. And you'll recognise his art from Santana albums and things like that. Like this is from a Santana album. This is the guy who did these pictures. But they're truly, truly spiritual pictures. I mean, so beautiful. Look at this. And I still get this book down off the shelf. This is my copy that I've had since my teenage years. And it kind of introduced me to so many things. I mean, some of it is pure hippie stuff, but the art sort of goes beyond, the kind of crystalline forms and the kind of naturally, beautifully sacred. There's one I'm looking for in particular. I think it's a bit earlier on. This is very, very special, I think, this image. And one more, perhaps, the tree, if I can find it. Maybe not. Not the tree, but this seems to be like some kind of... Can you see that? Something very true. Okay, so so just brilliant inspiration. Just brilliant inspiration. Manus Manna by Bob Venosa. And then becoming more practical, this is my favourite yoga book by Swami Janakananda, Yoga, Tantra and Meditation in Daily Life. This came out in the 70s, and the pictures are very 1970s in it, but it's the most complete yoga book I've ever come across. So it just doesn't cover asana, it covers pranayama, tantra, cleansing practices, all sorts of things, and sets a kind of some basic sort of practices that you kind of begin following, help you clean up your act, and then kind of start kind of integrating kind of the body and the sacred life together, our inner life and our outer life together, while at the same time kind of freeing up the body. And while I have no aspiration to be an asana teacher, the kind of basic principles of yoga, the yamas and niyamas, pranayama and so on, form kind of a very strong background to my own practice, and along with things like Stephen Levine, you put these two things together and life just kind of really starts to open up beautifully and quickly, and awareness grows. And we do have to look after the body, where the body is not to be cast away. In fact, kindly looking after our bodies with a kind of loving aspect, as if we're kind of loving a child, and looking after a child is kind of one of the most healing things we can do. And then my final book, and this is kind of from more recent. It's probably 10 years ago I might have read this book, and really I think it was it answered so many questions at the time. My practice had changed kind of very, very strongly, and that the that I was no longer just kind of, I wasn't fighting against my mind anymore, but now I was kind of starting to look at how to kind of move with awareness, particularly in relationship to other people. And I was also looking to move from sort of quite a lonely state that I'd been in whilst kind of battling in my life, to understanding kind of the depths of kind of solitude and kind of being in the world, but kind of not really being of it, you know, as we are. And so this is by Osho, and it's called Love, Freedom and Aloneness. And really, it helps. It helps a lot. It's such a balm, and it's so riotously funny because Osho is just so funny, and he has a reputation of being kind of a bit wacky and a bit kind of, you know, will say anything to get the rise out of you, but which is quite a good thing to do sometimes, you know, because we have to take this stuff much less seriously. You know, life is too serious to take seriously. But in this book, it's just very direct, very, very kind, and he's very, very much on your side. And so, again, you know, if you were to kind of grab that little pile of books, I think you might find something there for you, if you're of a sacred or a spiritual kind of leaning. So, yeah. So let me leave you there. Happy World Book Day. I'm just going to do some more work on my website. I'm currently setting up a Patreon page, which is a way that you can subscribe to receive kind of different benefits. So you can, for example, kind of like the lowest levels of subscription, just like £6 or £7. You can subscribe, and there's a monthly live streaming meditation class that I'm going to start doing. At the next level up, you get the regular meditation class, and you get a bi-monthly journaling for transformation session, all done live with people around the world, and myself kind of guiding that. So it's a way of kind of starting to offer my workshops and classes in a way that can kind of reach people wherever they are, in a kind of way that is of service to you and allows me to kind of, you know, just live my life in a simple way. So please do check that out. I'm going to put a link down below for that. It's just kind of coming at the moment. If you have any suggestions about that, then please leave a comment down below, you know, if I can kind of improve those offers, or, you know, what you would like to see me offer. And if you do read any of these books, then please let me know in the comments down below as well. Or if you have suggestions of your favourite spiritual or sacred books, then please. You know, I was quite tempted to put the Bible in there too, because, you know, my mother was an Irish Catholic, and I kind of grew up that way, and still have a lot of love for that tradition. Even though my practice is outside of traditions, I have a lot of love for that kind of original tradition that I came from. But yeah, do let us know what your favourite spiritual books are in the comments below, and do subscribe to this channel, and lots of love to you. Have a beautiful, beautiful day, whatever you're doing and wherever you are.